I planned everything perfectly, or so I thought. A quick late-night purchase, discreet shipping, and a delivery window that lined up with my roommates. Thursday shift at the dining hall. No witnesses, no awkward questions, just a small cardboard box, a few hours of privacy, and one deeply personal wellness massager that promised to ease both muscle tension and emotional stress. Simple plan, foolproof. Until my phone chimed, delivered. I grinned, half relieved, half guilty, then froze. The delivery app showed a smiling driver emoji standing in front of room 302. Not my room. I lived in 301. My stomach dropped like an elevator. For a few seconds I just stared at the screen, hoping it would magically correct itself. Maybe the GPS glitched. Maybe I read it wrong. But there it was. 302. Bold and unmerciful. Room 302 belonged to Nate Campbell. Of all people on the planet, the universe chose him. Nate was the dorm's golden retriever in human form. Tall, athletic, eternally tan. Even in February he played intramural soccer, cracked jokes loud enough to echo through the hallway, and had the kind of smile that made people forgive him for almost anything, including the time he set off the smoke alarm making popcorn at 2 a.m. He also happened to live 6 feet away from my door. And now he was in possession of my very personal, not for public viewing, wellness massager. I buried my face in my pillow and groaned. Of course this happens to me. Not to the confident guy down the hall. Not to anyone normal. No. The universe says, you know who deserves this, Jack? Professional overthinker and certified introvert. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Hey G, pretty sure your package came to me. I blinked. My heart started a drum solo in my chest. Unknown number. You might want to come get it. Okay, maybe this wasn't the end of the world. The box was small, discreet. If he hadn't opened it, maybe he thought it was, I don't know, vitamins, a phone charger, socks. People ordered socks online, right? Before I could reply, another message arrived. Unknown number, a photo attachment. The picture showed a perfectly ordinary brown box sitting on a desk I recognized instantly. Nate's desk, complete with his signed soccer poster and a half-empty energy drink can. The box was still sealed. Thank God. Then his caption popped up beneath it. Nate, think this belongs to you? He'd saved his number in my phone ages ago, back when we swapped Wi-Fi passwords. Seeing his name appear now made my pulse jump again. Me? Yeah. Sorry about that. I'll grab it in a sec. I hit send, tossed on a hoodie, then stopped mid-motion as a horrible thought struck me. What if he'd Googled the tracking info? What if he knew what it was? No one does that. He wouldn't. My phone buzzed one more time. Nate, sure thing, man. I'll keep it safe for you. There was a smiley face at the end of the message. Not the normal one, either. The smirking kind. I let out a strangled laugh. Safe. Great. My deepest secret is safe with the most talkative guy on campus. By the time I reached the hallway, I'd swede through my hoodie. Every step felt like a walk to my own trial. The hum of vending machines filled the silence, mocking me. Outside 302, I hesitated. Maybe he'd left it by the door. Maybe I could swipe it and run before he even noticed. No such luck. The door swung open before I could knock. Nate stood there barefoot, wearing gray sweatpants and a white t-shirt that looked personally designed to highlight his gym membership. His dark hair was damp, fresh from the shower, and he smelled faintly of soap and citrus. I forgot every prepared sentence in my head. Hey neighbor. It leaned against the door frame, easy grin already in place. Come for your mystery package. My mouth went dry. Yeah. Sorry about that. The driver must have mixed up the numbers. No worries. It turned and grabbed the box from his desk. I almost thought it was mine. Been ordering stuff for the team lately. Recovery gear, protein powder, that kind of thing. He looked at the label again, then back at me. But this says G. Carver. Guess I'm not the chosen one. It handed it over, and for a glorious second I believed the nightmare was over. Then he added far too casually. So, wellness massager, huh? My grip tightened on the box. What? It laughed, raising his hands. Relax, dude. Is printed right here on the shipping Slip. Personal wellness massager. It grinned wider. I swear I didn't open it, though. The curiosity almost killed me. Internally, I was already drafting a petition to move dorms. Outwardly, I managed a strangled laugh. Yeah, it's for sore muscles, neck tension, and stuff. Sure. He gave a mock serious nod. Got to take care of that neck tension. Dangerous thing. Neck tension. I could feel my ears turning the color of a stoplight. Anyway, thanks for holding on to it. Appreciate it. No problem. He crossed his arms, still smirking. Gee, I think this is the first time we've actually talked for more than 2 sentences. Yeah, well, I muttered. I usually try to keep my deliveries conversation-free. He laughed, a bright, genuine sound that somehow made everything worse. You're funny when you're panicking. I'm not panicking, I said, panicking. He tilted his head. You sure? You look like you're about to sprint down the hall. I might, I said, clutching the box like a lifeline. Nate stepped aside, letting me pass if I wanted. Hey, don't worry. Your secret's safe. I won't tell anyone. You're investing in self-care. Thank you, I said quickly, backing toward the hallway, although he added, voice dropping playfully. You do owe me for handling your mail with such care. Maybe a coffee? I blinked. A coffee? Yeah. He shrugged. Call it neighborly compensation. You can even bring your massager if you want to demonstrate its neck-saving powers. I groaned. You're not going to let that go, are you? Probably not, he said cheerfully. See you tomorrow. I mumbled something non-committal and escaped into the hall. The door clicked shut behind me, leaving me alone with the faint scent of citrus and humiliation. Back in my room, I dropped the box on my bed like it was radioactive and flopped onto the mattress beside it. My heartbeat was still in overdrive. I stared at the ceiling, replaying every second. His grin, the joke, that stupid smirk when he said wellness massager. Of course, my deepest secret gets Amazon Prime to Mr. Apps, I muttered. Of course, my roommate wouldn't be back for another hour, but I still shoved the box under a pile of textbooks like it was evidence in a crime. For a long moment, I lay there, listening to the faint sounds of dorm life. Someone laughing down the hall, music thudding through the walls, a door slamming shut. Ordinary sounds, except my brain wouldn't let the moment go. What? Had Nate offered coffee? Was it just another joke? A pity hangout or something else? I groaned and buried my face in a pillow again. Stop thinking. Just stop. My phone buzzed. Nate, don't forget the coffee. I take mine with cream. I stared at the screen, half laughing, half mortified. Apparently, tomorrow I had a coffee date with the guy who just handled the most embarrassing package of my life. Fantastic. I reached over, turned off the light, and muttered to myself, next time I'm ordering socks. Embarrassment could physically kill a person. I would have been a memorial plaque by the time I knocked on Nate's door the next morning. I didn't even want coffee. What I wanted was a one-way ticket to another campus, preferably one without dorms, neighbors, or human contact. Still, there I was, hair barely brushed, hoodie zipped up to my chin, clutching a coffee cup I'd picked up on the way as a pathetic peace offering. Nate opened the door with that same grin. He probably practiced in mirrors. Confident, easy, just the right mix of friendly and infuriating. Well, he said, leaning on the frame. If it isn't my favorite customer, please don't call me that. Too late, he said. You've been upgraded to preferred member. Comes with free teasing. Sighed and held out the coffee. Peace offering. I didn't mean to drag you into my shipping disaster. He accepted it with exaggerated suspicion. Is this safe to drink? You're not trying to poison the only witness, right? Maybe. Just a mild sedative, I muttered. A low, easy sound that made me wish I didn't find it so disarming. Come in. You can explain why your mystery package almost gave me a moral crisis. I hesitated. A moral crisis? Yeah, he said, shutting the door behind me as I stepped inside because I had to decide whether to open it or not. Curiosity versus ethics. It was a battle. You didn't open it, I said quickly. Of course not, he said, eyes glinting. But I did shake it a little, just to check if it was dangerous or battery-powered. I groaned. You didn't? Oh, I did? He grinned wider, taking a sip of the coffee. No rattling though, so I figured it was something soft, like, socks or a stuffed animal. Totally socks, I said dead. Bet. Socks for muscle recovery, he said. The cup down on his desk right next to the very same unopened box still, sitting there like the star of my humiliation. Ah, yes, you're famous. Muscle recovery socks. Tell me more. Are you seriously making me relive this? He crossed his arms, clearly enjoying himself. Consider it therapeutic. Exposure therapy. You confront your fears. I get entertainment. Win-win. Pointed at the box. Can I have it back? Now. He raised a brow. You sure you're ready? It might be emotionally heavy, fragile contents and all. Nate beside, dramatically picking it up. All right, but I have to ask, what exactly is a wellness massager? Because that's what it says on the shipping label, and that could mean anything from a shoulder roller to other interpretations. My brain, short-circuited, is literally just a massager like for your back, sports, recovery, normal stuff. He leaned closer, resting one hand on the box. For your back, huh? Why are you saying it like that? Like what? He asked innocently, though the corner of his mouth twitched like you're auditioning for a commercial that'll get banned on campus Wi-Fi. He chuckled. Hey, I'm just clarifying. Got to know what kind of product I was heroically protecting from porch pirates. I folded my arms. You're the porch pirate in this scenario. Harsh but fair. He studied me. For a second, that teasing look fading. Just a little. You really were panicking yesterday, huh? Yes, I said flatly. Think I invented a new level of anxiety. Hey, he said softer now. For what it's worth, I wasn't trying to make fun of you. I just didn't expect to get your mail. And then when I saw your face at my door, man, it was like you walked into a courtroom. I felt like I was on trial. For crimes against FedEx, for crimes against human dignity? He laughed again. But this time it wasn't mean. It was warm, genuine. Okay, fine. I'll stop torturing you, but only if you admit that this is objectively hilarious, subjectively mortifying, which he said, tapping the box, is basically the same thing from my side of the hall. I gave up trying to win the argument. Can I just take my wellness device and pretend this week never happened? He tilted his head, considering no, not yet. My stomach dropped. What now? You still owe me emotional damages. Yesterday I spent 20 minutes debating whether I should call the RA about your suspicious package. That's trauma. I can't believe you're serious. Deadly serious, he said, trying and failing to keep a straight face. Coffee was a good start, but I'm thinking dinner or at least fries. I see what you're doing. Do you? Yes. You're trying to turn this into some kind of joke date thing. Is it working? No, I said too quickly. Then why are you blushing? I'm not, he smirked. Sure. Gee. I wanted to deny it again, but my face felt like a furnace. You're impossible. Correct, he said cheerfully, finally handing me the box. Here, take it before I start charging storage fees. I grabbed it and tried to sound dignified. Thank you, Nate, for your brave service in guarding my totally normal item. Anytime, he said with a grin. If it ever malfunctions, I can help test it, for scientific purposes. You're never going to stop, are you? Probably not. He followed me to the door as I turned to leave. By the way, he added casually, you're actually kind of funny when you're nervous. Didn't know you had jokes. That's because I'm usually too busy avoiding human contact. Well, you should stop, he said, leaning against the frame again. Turns out you're good company even when you're sweating through your hoodie. Blinked, thrown off by the sudden sincerity. Was that a compliment? He shrugged, pretending to think. Well, call it an observation with potential. Potential for what? You'll find out at coffee tomorrow, I groaned. You're relentless. Persistence is a virtue, he said, smirking again. Now go hide your box before I start giving it a name. Leaving, I said, clutching it to my chest like a hostage as I escaped down the hall. Behind me, I heard him call. Don't forget you owe me caffeine and maybe therapy. Back in my room, I closed the door, leaned against it, and tried not to smile. It didn't work. There was Something about the way Nate teased. Yes, it was ridiculous, but it wasn't me. He had this annoying talent for making even the most humiliating situation feel lighter, like I wasn't a walking disaster. I set the box on my desk, still unopened. For a moment I considered tossing it straight into the closet and pretending it never existed. But then I caught myself grinning, remembering his laugh. The stupid "you're back, huh?" line. And the way his eyes softened when he realized I'd actually been embarrassed. Maybe I didn't hate talking to Nate. Maybe I liked it. My phone buzzed. Again. Nate, thanks for the coffee. You still owe me emotional trauma fries. Shook my head, typing back before I could overthink it. Me. Fine. Fries, but I'm picking the place. Nate, deal. Just don't order anything that vibrates. Laughed out loud despite myself. Somewhere between the panic, the teasing, and the sarcastic text. Realized I wasn't dreading tomorrow anymore. I showed up 5 minutes early, which was 5 minutes too early for someone who already looked suspiciously nervous, holding 2 coffees. The cafe near campus was small but always packed. Half students, half people pretending to study while scrolling their phones. The air smelled like burnt espresso and baked sugar, and the window fogged faintly from the morning chill. I picked a corner booth and tried to look casual, which meant I stared at my phone, sipped too fast, and almost burned my tongue twice. Then the door swung open and in walked Nate. Gray hoodie, jeans, baseball cap turned backward, effortlessly put together like he'd been styled by a breeze. "Hey," he said, spotting me. "Look at you, early and caffeinated, trying to impress me already." I rolled my eyes. More like trying to make sure you didn't announce our coffee meeting on the dorm group chat. He laughed, sliding into the seat across from me. Tempting, I'd call it. The Great Coffee Debrief. Mystery Package Edition. You trend for sure. You are physically incapable of letting things go, aren't you? Not when they're this funny. He grinned, then added, "But, hey, thanks for meeting up. I wasn't sure you'd actually show." "Yeah, well, I said figured I owed you a less panic-filled conversation." He leaned forward, elbows on the table. "See, personal growth already. Don't make it weird. Too late." We both laughed. Mine awkward, his easy, but the air felt lighter than before. The barista called out an order, and for a moment we just sat in comfortable silence. Was strange sitting across from Nate without the barrier of a hallway or my own mortification. In daylight he looked less like the untouchable dorm hero and more like a normal guy, a little tired, maybe even nervous. So he said, stirring his coffee with a wooden stick, "How are your neck muscles?" I groaned. "You're never going to stop, are you?" "Not for a few more weeks." "Oh, good to know what my suffering schedule looks like." He smiled. Not his usual teasing grin, but something softer. "I'm kidding. Mostly. You've had enough trauma for one Amazon order." "Thank you. That's so compassionate of you." "Hey, I'm a giver." I raised an eyebrow. That sounded questionable. "Yeah," he said with a smirk. Heard it as soon as I said it. We both cracked up, and for a second the laughter hung there. Genuine, unforced. The kind that sneaks up and warms you from the inside. When it faded, Nate took another sip, his tone shifting slightly. "So, real talk. Yesterday you looked like you were about to faint. That kind of embarrassment doesn't come from nowhere. You always get that. Nervous, or was that a special edition?" Hesitated. Normally I'd deflect with a joke, but something about his expression, curious, not mocking, made me actually want to answer. I hate being the center of attention," I said. "Especially for something embarrassing. People like to laugh at stuff like that, and I'm not great at laughing with them." Nate nodded slowly. "Yeah, I get that." I snorted. "You, mister. Everyone loves me." "Please," he said, half the time I'm just winging it. The confidence thing. 90% performance. You act chill enough, people stop looking close. That caught me off guard. You don't seem like someone who has to pretend." He shrugged. "That's kind of the point. If you act like you've got it together, no one asks if you don't." There was something in the way he said. Not self-pity, just honesty. The kind that sits quietly between words. "Wow," I said, trying to sound light. "That's surprisingly deep for a guy who Almost set the microwave on fire making ramen last week. He smirked. I contain multitudes. Our conversation drifted. Classes, professors, weird dorm. Neighbors. He told me about his part-time job at the campus gym where someone once tried to lift a barbell with one hand to impress a girl and ended up needing 3 stitches. Was that you? I asked. Rude, he said, laughing. No, I just had to fill out the incident report. Dude blamed gravity. Classic scapegoat. Then, without meaning to, I found myself talking about my own stuff. Late night. Studying, homesickness, the quiet feeling that everyone else seemed to know what they were doing except me. Nate listened. Not distracted, not smirking, just listened. You ever feel like college is just one long improv show where you didn't get the script? All the time, he said. Except I keep thinking everyone else got the cheat sheet and I'm the one pretending to know my lines. That's exactly it, I said, startled by how much that resonated. He grinned. Look at us. 2 frauds holding coffee. Don't tell anyone. I said, they might revoke our student loans. We laughed again. But there was something different about it. Now less nervous, more real. When the barista called out another order, Nate looked toward the counter, then back at me. You know what's funny? I used to think you hated everyone on our floor. I blinked. What? Why? Because you never came to movie nights or the pizza thing or basically any social event. It's not that I hate people. Just don't know what to do around them. I always end up feeling like the weird, quiet one. Newsflash, he said. You are the weird, quiet one. Well, thanks. But you're also the only one who didn't laugh when my roommate slipped on his protein shake last month. So that makes you the most decent person in our hallway. I try to live a moral life, I said clearly. Also, you're more fun when you stop apologizing for existing. That line hit harder than I expected. Do I really do that? I asked. He gave me a look that was almost fond. Do you? Said sorry 3 times, just handing me a cup of coffee. I'm polite. You're scared of taking up space, he said, smiling gently. There's a difference. Didn't know what to say to that. Maybe because it was true. Well, I said, finally. Are you secretly majoring in psychology or something? Business, he said. But I'm thinking of starting a side hustle as your life coach. That sounds dangerous. Probably would be, he admitted. Step 1, stop apologizing. Step 2, drink more coffee with guys who tease you. I snorted. Is that your subtle way of saying you like hanging out with me? Not that subtle, actually. The silence that followed wasn't awkward this time. It was warm, comfortable. After a while, Nate leaned back, stretching. Okay, confession time. Since we're sharing embarrassing moments, it's only fair I give you one of mine. Oh, this I have to hear. He grinned. Freshman year, I tried to impress a girl by making her pancakes in the dorm kitchen. I didn't know the difference between baking soda and baking powder. Pancakes came out like rubber discs. The smoke detector went. Whole floor evacuated. She started dating the guy who pulled the fire alarm. I tried not to laugh but failed miserably. That's actually tragic, right? And yet I recovered. A survivor. I shook my head. You really are something else. Admit it, he said. You'd have laughed if it were me. Yesterday with the wrong delivery. Absolutely, I said without hesitation. He clutched his chest. Betrayal. We both started laughing again. The kind of laugh that ends with you grinning too. Hard to stop. By the time we left, the sun had climbed higher, scattering light across the sidewalks. We walked side by side back toward the dorms, our footsteps in sync. Hey, Nate said. Suddenly. You know, this was nice. Yeah. I admitted it was. See, not every package mix-up ends in disaster. What? That's one way to look at it. When we reached our hallway, he paused. Outside his door. Same time tomorrow. Tomorrow? He shrugged. You owe me fries. Remember? Got to work off that emotional trauma somehow. I smiled despite myself. Fine, but I'm not paying if you order 5 portions again. No promises. He gave a small wave and disappeared into 302, leaving me standing there like an idiot with a smile I couldn't quite wipe. Back in my room, I set down my empty coffee cup and caught my reflection in the mirror, still blushing. Faintly but lighter somehow. The whole thing had started as a mortifying mistake. But now I wasn't sure I wanted to undo it. For the first time since moving into this dorm, I was actually looking forward to tomorrow. There are few things more terrifying than waking up to a group chat notification that begins with the words, "So apparently." That morning, my phone buzzed itself halfway off the nightstand. I rubbed my eyes, squinting at the screen. The dorm's floor group chat had blown up. Overnight. 20 unread messages. Tyler, so who ordered the mystery adult package? Mara, wait. What? Tyler. Rumor says someone got a box labeled personal wellness something and freaked out when it got delivered next door. Eyes. Mara. Stop. Oh. Tyler, can't say, but word is it's someone on this floor. I froze. The blood drained from my face. There were only 12 people on our floor, this floor, and there had only been one mysterious wellness delivery this week. Oh no, I whispered. I scrolled frantically, hoping someone would change the topic to literally anything else. Instead, the thread continued. Mara, LMAO, was it you, Nate? You get weird stuff delivered all the time. Nate's roommate, Ben. Nope, not Nate this time. But I did overhear something about room 301. I dropped my phone. Then, of course, Nate's roommate, the one who had the bedside manner of a YouTube comment section. He must have overheard something, then turned it into gossip fuel. By breakfast, half the dorm probably thought I was ordering romantic contraband. I sat on my bed, staring at the wall, replaying every moment from the past few days. Nate had been the only person who knew about the delivery. He had joked about it. Maybe he'd told Ben as a laugh. Maybe it slipped out. Either way, now everyone. No. The hall was suspiciously quiet. When I stepped out of my room. Quiet. The kind of quiet that hides whispers behind doors. As I passed by the kitchen area, 2 freshmen were talking in hushed voices until they noticed me, then suddenly decided the ceiling tiles were fascinating. I wanted to melt through the floor. Morning, Nate said cheerfully from the vending machine down the hall. Completely unaware of the nuclear social fallout I was walking through, I mumbled something that vaguely resembled, "Hey," and sped toward the stairs. "Well, wait up," he said, catching up easily. "You okay? You look like you saw a ghost." "I'm fine." "You sure? You're pale. Like midterm results pale." I said, "I'm fine." "Okay." Defensive. Noted. He raised an eyebrow. "Did I do something?" I wanted to say no. I wanted to keep my dignity, but the words came out sharper than I meant. "You told people, didn't you?" His brows furrowed. "Told people what about the package?" He blinked, clearly caught off guard. "What? No. Why would I?" "Because your roommate knows. And now the whole dorm knows." "Wait. Ben said something." "Yes, Nate. Ben said something." I snapped. "And now everyone thinks I'm the weird guy ordering." I gestured vaguely, lowering my voice. "Adult products from Amazon." He looked genuinely shocked. "Gee, I swear I didn't say a word. Ben must have overheard us talking." "No, he eavesdrops on everything, right?" I said, crossing my arms. "So you just happened to discuss it loudly enough for him to overhear." "Hey, don't look at me like that." He frowned suddenly. "Serious? You really think I'd embarrass you like that?" "I don't know what to think," I said, and brushed past him before he could answer. By lunchtime, the whispers had evolved into full-blown comedy sketches. At the dining hall, someone asked if I'd recovered from my neck tension. Another guy at the salad bar coughed the word massage under his breath and then pretended it wasn't about me. Everywhere I went, there were smirks, giggles, knowing looks. I ate fast, avoided eye contact, and escaped back to my room, vowing to never order anything online again ever. My phone buzzed a few times. Nate calling, then texting. "Nate, hey, please talk to me." "Nate, I didn't tell anyone. Let me fix." "Nate, seriously, G, don't ghost me." I threw the phone face down. It said he didn't tell anyone, but the rumor didn't start itself. And even if it had been Ben, well, Nate was the source material. 2 days passed. I kept my head down, avoided the common room, skipped movie night. Every time I heard Nate's laugh echoing down the hallway. I turned up my music. By the third day, the gossip had mostly simmered down, replaced by newer drama about someone breaking a microwave door. Still, I couldn't shake the dull sting of embarrassment. Then came Friday. I was halfway down the hall with a bag of laundry when I heard it. "Okay, everyone. Important announcement." Nate's voice boomed from the lounge. My stomach flipped. I peeked around the corner. Half the dorm was there lounging on bean bags and couches mid-con conversation. Nate stood in the middle, grinning like he was about to perform. "Stand up." Before anyone asks, he said, "Yes, I'm the mysterious Amazon guy." The room went quiet. "What?" Mara asked. "The infamous personal wellness package," Nate continued dramatically, placing a hand over his heart. "That was mine." "Yep, ordered it for my lower back. Tight from all that gym heroism." The crowd erupted with laughter. Tyler raised a hand. "Wait, you're saying it wasn't?" "No." Nate interrupted, grinning. "Poor G just got the blame. I told the delivery guy to write wellness so my roommate wouldn't make it. Weird. And look what happened. Chaos. Scandal, emotional damage." The laughter grew louder and Nate played it up, miming outrage. "Honestly, you all have dirty minds. It's 2025. Some people just care about posture." Someone clapped. Someone else snorted into their drink. Even Ben looked confused and mildly guilty. By the time I realized what was happening, the entire floor had accepted Nate's confession as fact. He was rewriting history not with a lie meant to hurt, but with one meant to protect. He glanced toward me from across the room, caught my eye and winked. My face went warm for an entirely new reason. Later that evening, I found him in the lounge, alone, flipping channels on the TV. "You didn't have to do that," I said quietly. He looked up, feigning innocence. "Do what?" "Take the fall." "Oh, that," he shrugged. "Didn't seem fair letting people roast you for something that wasn't even true. Besides, I have the charm points to survive a scandal." You basically admitted to ordering a back massager. I said, "Hey, I said it was for my lower back." I couldn't help laughing. "You're unbelievable." He smirked. "You're welcome, by the way. Rumor mill's dead. You're officially off the hook." I don't even know what to say. "Thank you would work. Renate, you're my hero." "Heather's fine." I shook my head, smiling despite myself. "You're an idiot. Takes one to recognize one," he said, easily. Then his tone softened. "Look, I get it. You were embarrassed. I would have been too, but I promise I'd never throw you under the bus for a laugh." No," I said quietly. "I shouldn't have assumed." He gave a small nod. "Apology accepted. Now let's seal it with something symbolic like fries." "Fries. Again. It's our thing. Now you bring the ketchup this time." I laughed. "Deal." He grinned and reached for the remote. "Told you I had your back." "Yeah," I said, rolling my eyes. "And maybe my back massager too." "Exactly." He looked at me, amused. "See, you're learning." Later that night back in my room, I couldn't stop smiling. It wasn't just that Nate had saved me from public humiliation. It was the way he'd done it, effortlessly, without making me feel like a burden. He didn't need to rescue me, but he did. And somewhere between the rumor and the laughter, I realized something. This wasn't just friendly teasing anymore. It was something gentler, something that made my stomach twist every time he smiled my way. Maybe that was the real rumor starting, the one I didn't mind spreading. Someone had told me a few weeks ago that the guy who'd once held my most embarrassing delivery hostage would become my favorite person on campus. I'd have laughed them straight into next semester. But somehow, between late-night coffee runs, study sessions in the library, and the ongoing back massager jokes that refused to die, Nate and I had quietly, comfortably become inseparable. He'd text me random memes during class. I'd leave sarcastic sticky notes on his door. He dragged me to the gym for emotional support, which translated to me holding his water bottle and pretending to stretch. Our conversations had shifted too. Was teasing more honest? We talked about family, the future, and those weird 2 AM thoughts about where life might actually be going. If before I saw him as the loud, confident guy everyone Adored. Now I saw everything underneath. The way he worried about letting people down, how he hid stress behind humor, how his laugh always came half a second before mine. It was friendship. At least, that's what I kept telling myself. Friday night, Nate stuck his head into my room unannounced as usual. Emergency, he said. I looked up from my laptop. What kind of emergency? The kind that involves snacks, bad movies, and my room. I frowned. You're throwing a movie night? Technically, we're throwing it. Movie night, he corrected. You promised fries last time, remember? Consider this your community service. I never promised to host your entire fan club. Grin. Relax. It's just a few people. You meet Ben, maybe 2 others. Popcorn. Projector, communal suffering through whatever Netflix recommends. I pretended to sigh. Fine, but I'm picking the movie. Deal, he said. Already halfway out the door. Bring something emotional and confusing. So Ben cries again. By 8 o'clock, room 302 looked like a low-budget cinema. A white sheet pinned to the wall. For the projector, bowls of chips. Everywhere, the faint smell of burnt popcorn in the air. Nate had arranged bean bags and mismatched desk chairs into a chaotic half circle. Ben sat on the floor scrolling his phone. A few others chatted near the window, and I found myself wedged between Nate and a bowl of pretzels that seemed to be my emotional support for the night. The movie started, some indie drama Nate picked because, in his words, it has emotional depth and also explosions. For the first half hour, the room buzzed with laughter and commentary. Nate leaned over every now and then to whisper sarcastic reviews. Plot twist. No plot. $10 says that guy dies heroically. You're laughing too hard. You'll blow my cool cover. Every time his shoulder brushed mine, my brain short-circuited just a little. Then, right as the main character confessed his love on screen, the lights flickered once, twice, and went out completely. The projector died. The room plunged into darkness. Someone groaned. Oh, come on. Did we blow a fuse? Ben asked. Nate grabbed his phone and turned on the flashlight. Probably whole buildings. Guess it's that storm they warned about outside. Rain drummed softly against the windows. The hum of conversation faded as people started gathering their things. Looks like movie nights can lead, someone said. One by one, they filed out, muttering about power outages and late assignments. Within minutes, the room was empty except for me and Nate. The silence settled thick, but not uncomfortable. His phone's flashlight cast soft shadows over the walls, flickering against the sheet that had doubled as a movie screen. Well, Nate said finally. Guess that's one way to end on a cliffhanger. I chuckled, sitting cross-legged on the beanbag. I was just starting to understand the plot too. Plot was overrated. Anyway, he sat down beside me, close enough that I could feel the warmth radiating from him even in the dim light. For a while, neither of us spoke. The rain filled the room with its steady rhythm, and the faint glow from the hallway bled under the door. Then Nate said, You know, I never thought a wrong delivery could turn into this. I looked up. Into what? This, he said simply, gesturing around the dark room. The beanbags, the popcorn mess, the two of us sitting side by side like it was the most natural thing in the world. Us hanging out all the time, being friends. I smiled softly. Yeah, it definitely wasn't part of my 5-year plan. Was it in your backup plan? Not unless my backup plan included public humiliation. He laughed. The easy, genuine laugh that always made me want to join in. You handled it better than most people would have. I almost moved out. Okay. Yeah, not better. Better, but still. We both laughed. Quietly. The kind of shared laughter that lingered even after the sound faded. Then the silence came back. Not awkward this time, just slow and calm. The kind that makes you aware of every heartbeat, every small movement. Turned to him, watching how the flashlight's glow caught in his hair. His expression was softer than usual, his usual cocky grin replaced by something quieter. I'm glad it happened, I said, before I could stop myself. He tilted his head. The package thing? I nodded. Yeah, I mean, it was mortifying, sure. But if it hadn't happened, I probably never would have talked to you. He smiled a little shyly. A rare sight for Nate. Guess the universe knew what it was doing. I snorted. The universe delivered a friendship through second-hand embarrassment. Very poetic. He leaned back on his hands, gaze drifting toward the window. You ever think about how weird timing can be? Like one tiny mistake and everything changes. I nodded slowly. All the time. Outside, a faint rumble of thunder rolled across the sky. The rain picked up, tapping faster against the glass. Gee, he said after a moment, quieter. No. You ever wish things were just simpler? I looked at him, unsure what he meant. Simpler how? He shrugged. Don't know. Less pretending, maybe. Less worrying about what people think all the time. There was again that flash of sincerity behind the charm. Yeah, I said softly. I wish that too. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The sound of rain filled the space between us. Then he did something small. So small it shouldn't have meant anything, but it did. It reached out, his hand brushing against mine on the beanbag. Just a light touch. A question, not an answer. My breath caught. He didn't move away. Neither did I. In the dim light, I could see his expression, open, unreadable, somewhere between nervous and hopeful. I'm not great at this, he murmured. What? I whispered. Whatever this is, neither am I. He smiled. Just a flicker of it. Guess we can figure it out then. I didn't know what to say. My brain was too busy memorizing every tiny detail. The way his thumb brushed mine, the rain's rhythm outside, the faint smell of popcorn still lingering in the air. The power flickered once, then twice, casting brief flashes of light through the room. In those blinks of brightness, everything looked different, closer, softer, realer. When the light steadied, again Nate pulled his hand back gently, like he was giving me space to breathe. I should probably check the breaker, he said after a pause, voice casual, but I still searching mine. Yeah, I said, trying to sound normal even as my pulse refused to cooperate. Good idea, he stood, running a hand through his hair. You can stay. It's cozy in here. Unless you're scared of the dark, I smiled faintly. Only if you start narrating horror stories again. No promises, he said, heading for the door. But hey, gee, yeah. He glanced back, that grin returning, softer this time, almost fond. I'm really glad it landed on my doorstep. My heart did a small, traitorous flip. Me too, I said, quietly. When I finally went back to my room that night, the storm had calmed. Sat on my bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the moment over and over. His hand, his words, that tiny spark that felt like it could light up the whole dorm. It wasn't a confession. Not exactly. But it was enough. Somewhere between laughter, fries, and a power outage, I'd stopped wondering whether Nate liked me. Now all I could think about was how much I liked him. A month passed and life at the dorm settled into a rhythm that somehow felt both ordinary and quietly special. Nate and I had become a running joke on the floor. The Amazon couple, as Tyler dubbed us. Apparently, people thought the entire rumor saga had been a rom-com in the making. And honestly, they weren't wrong. We studied together, grabbed late night food, and made each other's days unnecessarily dramatic through text. He'd send me ridiculous memes at 2 o'clock, and I'd retaliate with unflattering photos of him asleep during study sessions. Everything between us existed in this perfect unspoken middle ground, somewhere between friendship and something that made my heart race every time his arm brushed mine. But neither of us said anything about that night during the storm. Not directly, not in words. Sometimes when our hands accidentally touched, he just smiled. The kind of smile that said, yeah, I remember too. It was early on a Saturday morning when the sequel to my most embarrassing life event decided to happen. I just woken up when I heard the familiar knock of a delivery driver and the dull thump of a box hitting the floor outside my door. Still half asleep, I grabbed it, yawning. The label said, Nathan Campbell, room 302. Blinked at it. Of course, I muttered. Of course, the male gods strike again. For a split second, I considered being dramatic, marching to his room and tossing it at his feet, yelling, not again. But then I caught sight of the item description on the box. Custom mug. Gift set. Curiosity 1. I set the box on my desk and stared at it for a moment. It wasn't like I was going to open it, but the tape was already kind of peeling, right? And technically last time he opened mine. No, I wasn't going to stoop that low. 5 seconds later, I had a butter knife in hand. The flap came loose with a satisfying rip. Inside was a small white mug wrapped in bubble paper. I pulled it out carefully and turned it over. On one side in bold black letters it said, "Best neighbor ever." I blinked. Then I started laughing. Full uncontrollable, head in hands laughter. Because there was no way this was a coincidence. Underneath the mug was a folded note. Unfolded it, already smiling. "Thanks for not moving out after the great package debacle." And I had to lean back in my chair to breathe. The idiot had planned this. I was still laughing when someone knocked on the door. Gee, his voice. Of course. "Don't tell me you opened it already," he said through the door. Scrambled to my feet, clutching the mug. Like evidence. Define opened. Gee, it was basically open when I got it. The door opened and Nate leaned against the frame, arms crossed, trying and failing to look stern. "You're unbelievable." "Correction," I said, holding up the mug. "Best neighbor ever." "Your words, not mine." He cracked a smile. "So you peeked." "Might have glanced." "You foolin'." "Excavated." "Details," I said. "Minor details." He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. "You realize you've now officially joined the package offender club. Welcome aboard." I placed the mug carefully on my desk, still grinning. "You planned this, didn't you? The label, the timing, everything." He shrugged. Maybe I just thought you deserved a title after all the chaos I caused." Crossed my arms. "You sent yourself a gift just to make a joke." "Technically I sent us a gift." I laughed. "That's the most Nate thing I've ever heard." He looked at the mug for a second, then back at me. "So, do I get it back?" "Depends. You're going to make me earn." He smirked, tempting. "But no, I think I'll let you keep it. Consider it proof we survived the semester." "Barely." "Hey," he said, stepping closer. "You did great. You only hid from me like twice this month. That's growth." I rolled my eyes, but I couldn't hide the smile pulling at my lips. "You're ridiculous. And you're smiling," he said softly. "Maybe I just find your suffering entertaining." "Oh yeah." We stood there for a moment. Too close, too quiet, the kind of pause that makes the air feel thick with everything left unsaid. He tilted his head, eyes glinting. "You know, I was hoping this time you'd be the one to knock on my door with a mystery box. Sorry to disappoint." "Don't be," he said, voice dropping slightly. "I kind of like that. You opened mine instead." My pulse stuttered for a second. Neither of us moved. The sound of rain, faint, left over from a drizzle outside, tapped gently against the window. His eyes flicked to my lips, then back up. And before my brain could interfere, I leaned in and kissed him. Wasn't cinematic or perfectly timed. Was awkward, probably a little too quick. And I nearly bumped his chin on the way. But it was real. He froze for a half second, then laughed softly against my mouth. When we finally pulled back, he was grinning. "So that's how you say thank you." I panicked. I said, my face on fire. "Good panic." He brushed a hand through his hair, still smiling, like he couldn't quite believe it happened. "Guess we're finally even." Laughed, stepping back to grab the mug again. "No, I still owe you for saving my reputation, right? The great scandal of room 301. Exactly. Legendary stuff." He chuckled, then took the mug from me and turned it around in his hands. "You know," he said thoughtfully, "I meant what I wrote in the note about me being the best neighbor. About you not moving out." I met his eyes. "Yeah, me too." For a second we just stood there. No jokes. No teasing, just the comfortable, quiet recognition of what had changed between. Then he broke the moment with a grin. "But seriously, I'm keeping the mug." I grabbed it back. "No chance." He gave it to me. I addressed it to me and I opened it. He groaned. "You're impossible. That's what makes me the best neighbor ever." Touché. That night, after he left, mug in my possession, victory declared. I sat by the window, turning it over in my hands. The rain had stopped completely now, leaving the world quiet and clean. From across the Hall I could hear faint music coming. From Nate's room, the same playlist he always used when he studied. A smile tugged at my lips. Still amazed me. How much had changed because of one simple mix-up. How something that had started with panic, humiliation, and too many sarcastic texts had turned into this laughter, trust, and something warm that felt dangerously close to love. Glanced at the mug again, tracing the bold black letters. Best neighbor ever. It wasn't just a joke anymore. It was a reminder of how unpredictable, ridiculous, and unexpectedly kind life could be when you least expected it. The next morning, Nate appeared at my door, holding 2 coffees and wearing that same grin that had ruined my peace since day one. Delivery for room 301, he said. I took the cup, smiling. You sure it's not for you? He shrugged. Doesn't matter. You'll probably open it anyway. True, I said, stepping aside to let him. You know, at this point, maybe we should just start sharing a mailbox. He smirked. Or a room. My heart skipped. He said it casually, jokingly. But the glint in his eyes said otherwise. Maybe, I said, trying not to grin too hard. Well, see how good your delivery record is. He raised his coffee in a mock toast to better deliveries and worse timing, I added. We laughed. The kind of laughter that fills a room and lingers long after it fades. As he settled on my couch talking about midterms and breakfast plans, I realized something quietly certain. I didn't need an app to tell me what had arrived in my life, because some things didn't need tracking numbers or labels. They just needed the right doorstep. Next time, I won't need an app to tell me what's been delivered. I'll just look next door.